Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome, everyone. Baba Kilindi here with the Entheogenic Explorer Show. This is the show that we explore all things entheogenic and mushrooms in particular. Also, our accoutrements that go along with some levels of the mushroom and entheogenic experience, and that's our transdimensional crystals and the Yiming Zhu crystals. I'm here this evening to talk about surveillance, artificial intelligence, Bitcoin, and the 5G network. And when I talk about these different things, I may not put mushrooms there or anything else, but the thing is that we hook all of these things to entheogens and mushrooms, and how we utilize the mushroom, how we utilize the entheogens to move to a level of access where we can get a handle on this, because these things and where we are now with the artificial intelligence and how it relates to surveillance and to the new 5G network that is coming online as we speak, and supposedly move to being highly accessible by 2020. But they're putting in the towers now, and they're not so much towers as they are line of sight, short towers, small towers that are very, very close together, because these millimeter waves, as opposed to the microwave waves, are they don't go through buildings very well. They don't spread out very well. They're kind of line of sight, so you need them everywhere, all the time, in many different places, so that it will actually be in line with your Wi-Fi and your phone and things like that. But they're extremely fast and extremely invasive as far as where these towers and where these repeaters are, and even utilizing your phone, similar to how the blockchain is used. In other words, they will, if my phone isn't in some kind of way line of sight or in the best position, they'll actually use extra antenna relationship and extra, extra phones to make that connection happen. So it will give us the ability to be very convenient, be very quick. In other words, you can download the Lord of the Rings, both trilogies, in 400th of a millisecond or something like that, and so many other uses that they haven't even come out with what these things are going to be doing. The surveillance right now is ramping itself up. I mean, surveillance is so pervasive, and when they now that they're hooking it to the AI, and now that they're getting the faster 5th generation internet, they'll basically run and rule your lives. We're already living on a farm, a human farm, where you have to deal with these people's invasiveness of where you can go and where you can't, how much money you can move, how much you can't. These type of things that have basically gave the farm animals the ability to be able to have the illusion of freedom. In other words, if you tie all the cows up in the barn, they're gonna, you have to do something, because they get depressed, and they don't live long. But if you can let the cows free range, that's not freedom. You're not letting them go anywhere. They still gonna do their milk chores, and they still gonna do and be burgers. But you let them roam and let them have think that they can go anywhere. People, well, I can go anywhere I want to go. Well, number one, yeah, you take that 2-week vacation and you spend a week of it in Cancun on the Pacific Princess or something like that, and you think you didn't went somewhere when you ain't really went anywhere. You're just on the fun and trollop boat, and you think you've went to someplace, but it's all, just like squeezed out of the tube of toothpaste. It's you can't go anywhere and can't do anything but indulge yourself so that you think that you're free and you're not really going anywhere. That includes the military people too, because they're on military bases. When they go to and they're in Germany and things like that, they're not really any place else but the United States, because they always have that backup and area of access to the military base for food or shelter or for dealing with your, minor problems. So surveillance is moving to a point now where cameras are everywhere. We're looking at the cameras and they're all hooked to the AI and the smart house and the smart city. Under surveillance is the new thing that will come about because of the 5G network. We're talking about things like the AI is surveilling, and you're downtown. You're just having a nice evening downtown with your girl or your guy, and y'all are out, and you go to this. You don't go all the way to the end of the street. You jaywalk. Now you won't get a ticket for jaywalking. You may get a ticket for jaywalking if you got a hard-nosed cop that doesn't believe that you're mature enough or grown enough to be able to walk across the street without getting run over. And if you do get run over, that's your business. But the thing is that they'll take that information. Okay, John Doe has he's jaywalked 3 times, and when he was in Walmart, the cameras are monitoring. And those cameras are hooked to the artificial intelligence. And the artificial intelligence is building a dossier on you. Okay, you took, any commodity, a bag of potato chips, a can of corn, and you didn't, you put it, you may have walked with it a few paces, and you took that can of corn, and you didn't put it back where the can of corn goes. You put the can of corn, you just kind of looked around and slipped it in the tomato shelf, and they're building a dossier on you that you're not really a person who's to be trusted. That you'll probably do something if you figured you could get away with it. You're not a good person, so they will deny you a loan or give you a lower credit score and those type of things because of the dossier that they've been building on you over years of you, doing things like, not putting the corn back where the corn goes and putting it in the tomato aisle, tomato shelf, or you've been jaywalking too much, or you may have littered. Not that littering is a thing to do, but you may have littered. You may have left your car in a no parking zone and didn't get caught that time. But the AI surveilled that. You say, well, I was just running into the post office and I'm gonna park here. I know it says don't park, but I'm gonna park here anyway. And the cop may not see that. You may not get a ticket. You may get away with it, but the surveillance and artificial intelligence has seen it and it's logged it into your little file, and everything you do will be logged into that little file to build up what you like, what you don't like, your preferences, what restaurants you go, because your phone is basically it's a surveillance device. It's a spy device. Now, a lot of that is so that you can, be reminded of the restaurant you like when you're in the neighborhood or things like that. But it's all going into the file and it's all being classified. White supremacy has not been totally eradicated, but with the artificial intelligence, it will very soon become obsolete because the artificial intelligence will not be judging you on the color of your skin or, things like that. It will judge you on what benefit are you to the ultimate corporation and artificial intelligence. So those people that feel that they have privileges or who have privileges that they don't even know will have no longer privileges. It's kind of like Bitcoin. Bitcoin at this stage of the game, and when I'm saying Bitcoin here, I'm saying Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, altcoins. No matter what they're for, whether they're for security or for holding wealth or whatever, that all of this is going to be melded together. Who you are, what information has been gathered on you, and how that information can benefit the artificial intelligence and its growth and its utilization. So the artificial intelligence won't care any more about you than it does a black person or a Hispanic person or a white person or anybody. You will all be a commodity and fodder for the meal of the artificial intelligence, and that's the way it's going to be. So, the artificial intelligence is in the cloud, in the internet. Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon, the monopoly that controls billions and billions of dollars and is now just recently in Seattle, Washington, opened up its Amazon Go store. The Amazon Go store is what I've been telling you about for quite a while. I've been talking about it for decades now, and it's finally come to realization of where you go to the store, you walk in, you download the app on your phone, and you go in, and the surveillance device under the auspices of the artificial intelligence, because companies that were bought by Amazon, they also are the biggest sources of money for D-Wave, the quantum computer, although it has limited use in areas, but they have several generations past what we have access to and know about. So as you walk into Amazon Go and you just pick up what you want, put it in your bag, and you leave, and you pay for it automatically. Now, what person who's stood in the line at Whole Foods, of which Amazon owns, and the Washington Post, who on a Saturday afternoon, and you walk into Whole Foods, and I know where we stay, the Whole Food lines are crazy. People are in there. Who wouldn't want to go in and just, take your official Whole Foods bag in there, because, they won't really be using the paper bags anymore. But you could pick up a paper bag if you need to, and it'll automatically take the micro payment out of your account and put it in the account of the Whole Foods account. Who wouldn't want the convenience of just going in and putting your stuff in there, and then just walking out, not having to go through the inconvenience or the time of waiting for the cashier and, all those types of things to go through that. I mean, some people have made, Whole Foods a social event. It's almost like having a date, or, where you want to meet. Well, we can meet at Whole Foods, that type of thing. But it will disrupt. And although Amazon does have human beings in there to answer questions about the new technology and all those things, ultimately they will be replaced by humanoid robots. Dealing with robots, you're going to have so many different types of robots. You're going to have your little cleaning robot that rides around your carpet and picks up dirt and dust, and you're going to have clothes folding robots, and you're going to have robotic clothing that deals with your temperature and things like that. Clothing that will keep you 70 degrees no matter what temperature you're in, and it works automatically. You get off the plane in Dubai at 3 o'clock in the morning, and that heat hits you. It'll automatically make your temperature 70 degrees. Or if you fly into Alaska and you get out the plane and you walk into the Alaskan cold, 70 degrees, your clothes will make you 70 degrees, and you won't have to feel that. So, smart clothing, smart shoes, all different types of commodities and things like that will be part of the surveillance system of the artificial intelligence. We've talked about before pill bottles, your planters where your plants are that will either automatically water your plants, or if you like to water your plants, your plant will send a SMS text to your refrigerator, and your refrigerator, if it's the main component that's acting with your Wi-Fi, your refrigerator will send you a SMS message on your phone that, the plant's dry and that you need to come and water it. Will monitor your children in the world. There are smart pill bottles that have actual chips in the pills themselves, so that they know how many pills you've taken over the period of a month, where all your pills went. Because if you gave a Tylenol, or not that your pill would be a Tylenol, but if you gave a Tylenol, say your pill is a Tylenol, just so we know what we're talking about. If your pill is a Tylenol and you give it to your brother-in-law, your brother-in-law takes the pills, and the pill will know that that pill is not in your body where it's supposed to be, but it is in your brother-in-law's body. So this is the type of invasiveness that the surveillance program that is being put into place will be placed upon people. They'll know your entertainment likes. They'll know your sexual habits. They'll know the magazines you buy, because the magazines will be smart magazines. And when you take them and put them in the house, and it interacts with your Wi-Fi and your toaster and your coffee machine and your refrigerator, that these things will be part of the overall surveillance of your particular smart house and smart city. So you'll always be interacting between your smart house, your cell phone, your smart clothing, your finances, all through the 5G network, which is the 5th generation network of internet. Now, there are things that are disruptive to this technology, such as Bitcoin and the blockchain and things like that, that they're trying to figure out how to deal with, because the Bitcoin algorithm, the cryptocurrency algorithms, they don't care who is utilizing the Bitcoin and other altcoins. It doesn't matter if it's a government. It doesn't matter if it's an individual. It doesn't matter if it's a bank. It just does what it does. So it's actually hooked into the AI, the artificial intelligence also, underneath the surveillance and things like that. So every conversation, it's not that every conversation is just being recorded. That's going on anyway. But the conversation is being recorded, analyzed, categorized, and that category that you're put in according to your conversations, what programs you listen to, what TV programs you look at, all these things are going into the database with your name on it. That's hooked to your face, that's hooked to your fingerprints, that's hooked to your bone density, that's hooked to your clothing and all the things that you own. Um, so, as I think they were talking about in China, that they had um, glasses that were surveillance glasses, and the computer could do tens of thousands of facial recognitions of different human beings per millisecond. So you could just scan across a football field full of people, and all of those people who went behind somebody's head would be scanned. And ultimately, you could just circle around the field looking at different people and crowds of people. And if it hits that you are a criminal or that you have warrants or whatever, the police will utilize this tool as a way to gather information and who's who and where's who and who should be where and who shouldn't be where. They brought out a program in, I can't think of the country, so I'm not going to say which country it is, so I don't want to mess up and say Switzerland if it's, Greenland or someplace else. But what they're doing now is they put in a program where people who have clothing that may look like they can afford the clothing, they would have to have a record of that clothing. So clothing that you have that is not hooked to you. So I could look at your face with the glasses and see your face and make sure that the clothing that you have is not stolen clothing, or your ring that you have on your finger is not stolen, because all of that is hooked to your account and to your, dossier of things that you own, and automatic flags will be things that people don't own. Now, it's going to take a little while to get this into, because you still have, at this point now, clothing that is, still old clothing. It doesn't have computer chips and quantum entangled particles in it and things like that. Just regular clothing. But ultimately, over time, if you don't have the smart clothing, you won't be able to get into places. And not being able to get into some place throws another flag that if you can't get in here, there's some reason that we need to come and pick you up. So you can't be wearing them old shoes without the chips in them, or those old pants without the chips in them, or hats or anything, because all these things have to be hooked to you, and you have to wear your own clothing. You can't be wearing your uncle's clothing or your cousin's clothing or brother's clothing and things like that. I'm sure they'll make some, instances where, even children would have to know and deal with their own clothing, because everybody has to be categorized. Everybody has to be accounted for. Everybody has to be on the green side of how they deal with society and the smart cities and the smart homes. So, things like Bitcoin, I've been saying for quite a while to get into Bitcoin. I'm in no way an expert on Bitcoin. I have a little bit, and some other altcoins of which I, practice buying and selling, and practice using my wallets and moving things around and stuff like that, because this is the way and the wave of the future, and you're not going to get out of this. Jamie Dimon, the head of Chase, just recanted his statement, I believe, earlier in the week or last week, that okay, Bitcoin isn't a fraud. The blockchain is here to stay, and you need to start dealing with it. And while they were telling people not to deal with Bitcoin and the blockchain and all that kind of stuff, they secretly on the other side are trying to buy it up and things like that. So we have a lot of time, a lot of information that we're sharing. And what is the entheogenic portion of this? What does this have to do with mushrooms or ayahuasca, salvia divinorum, or peyote, or Hawaiian baby rosewood, or LSD, or any of these things? Anything that gets your mind outside of the box and outside of the three-dimensional, five-sense reality that we're basically embedded in. That that's a good thing because it screws up the normal pattern of people's thought processes, how they deal with the way we view reality in the world. So mushrooms give us an access point to a greater plenum of information. The only thing, and I never say the only thing, but I say the only thing that can get us up out of here and up on top of this is for enough of us to start utilizing the psychedelics, hallucinogens, and entheogens to bring about a human singularity up and above the transhumanistic areas of the horizon that we can see. We know that the virtual reality is coming online. I got a chance to play the Star Wars trainer, where you utilize the lightsaber to fight the training ball, similar to what in the first Star Wars movie Luke was using when he used the blindfold mask and he was trying to block with the lightsaber the little laser blast that came out of this little ball. Well, I trained with that ball, and when I got to a certain level, a Sith robot or Sith Lord or whatever jumped down off of the ruins of the temple, and I had to fight him. He killed me, I killed him, but you have a higher virtual reality. It's not even a virtual reality; it's a form of reality inside of the mushrooms, and that's what we're utilizing: the Yiming Zhu crystals and the transdimensional crystals to be able to download the information and the places that we go and the things that we do to be able to bring those things back, to be able to go and practice in these places, to be able to go gain information in these places that are beyond the regular reality that we exist in. And if people aren't, get in on this, that's part of the tragedy, because you're not going to be able to outthink the quantum computer and the artificial intelligence, where we'll be moving only chemically. It will be moving at light speeds of thought, 20,000 years of human evolution in seconds. These are the things that we have to get with, get on, oppose, and be able to deal with. And you're not going to be able to deal with it in your regular mind. People are talking about just ridiculous stuff. They got a 2-year-old talking about, well, I'm going to start saving for that college education. There won't be no colleges in 30 years. If you don't know that, it's pretty bad. And it is pretty bad. Well, many colleges in 30 years. The things that we think will be around, we're still grasping for 100-year-old industrial education. Yeah, it won't work. You can't learn enough in a lifetime. You can't learn enough fast enough. Elon Musk put in the Tesla that he shot into orbit. And I'm not going to fight any flat earth people and things like that. There's a curvature. He shot that Tesla into orbit, and in the trunk it has a little disc that has, I don't know how many trillions of terabytes on this thing, where it has all the knowledge of the human Earth since we've been recording anything on it. And they're going to put a couple of them on Mars and some on the moon, and they're putting them all over, so that at least have a record. Not if anybody could access it, but a highly advanced intelligence would be able to access that information and see what at least the humans did in their very short period here on Earth. So it's a lot of things happening, a lot of stuff going on that we need to be ready for, have time to work on, and we don't have a lot of time. We have another year and some months before 2020 comes in and the 5G goes online. You know, you'll pay for everything, but you'll pay at use. You will pay for every time you flush the toilet, every time you open the refrigerator, every time you turn on the stove, every light bulb, but it will be use, because the 5G will give the ability in speed to be able to record usages and all of those things, because if it can be chipped, it will be chipped, including your behind. Amazon has a ban policy that tracks its workers, because you have a certain amount of time to be able to make your, stick that rubber ball in the box. And if you don't do it so many times, you get in trouble and then you get fired. But the thing is that the whole system is ultimately to fire you anyway. Now, they will make a living wage, not because they want to give away money, because you can't give away money because there is no money. It's perception, it's energy, it's information. So the living wage would be to free up creativity to deal with other things inside of the society that the AI won't be dealing with as concerned, to keep the cattle independent, believing that they're free, until it comes a time when that's no longer necessary. Because as this artificial intelligence breaches the quantum realms as far as access, as the particles are manipulated on a smaller and smaller framework, that's when it flips over to full sentience, and the artificial intelligence no longer needs, because it can build from the virtual realms. In other words, it doesn't need a 3D printer to make a body. It will assemble subatomic particles from beyond and below the Planck length to create the body it needs. So you'll have more of the vision than a human being. If you haven't got your Marvel Cinematic Universe chops together, you have to be part of this show. So go to YouTube, go to get some comic books. You can get them on your phone, you can get them on your laptop. Start reading the comic books so that you know what's going on. As a matter of fact, we're one day out from the Black Panther and Wakanda Forever. So we're anticipating that. There's a lot of buzz around this movie. Like no other, it will be the highest grossing black movie that, if you wanted to call it a black movie, it's not a black movie. It's held by Disney, just like because Disney owns Marvel. Disney also has the rights to My Life in the Bush of Ghosts by Amos Tutuola, Nigerian writer of epic proportions, of which I would like to see done. The Witch of Remote Town, Master of the Forge, as I said, My Life in the Bush of Ghosts, The Palm Wine Drinker, many other books from Africa and African-themed epic stories that can be told. Not just the Black Panther, but the Black Panther is not just a fantasy created by two white guys in the 1960s. No, it was created by the sign of the times and the classified and declassified information that was gotten and gleaned from information that the Nazis were getting during World War II, and information that they were gleaning from places like the Congo, and from the Zulu, and from the Dogon, and from dealing with the sciences of these places. So when you see the women warriors, that's not just coming from the mind of someone's fantasy. That is an assemblage of the women of Dahomey, the wives of the leopard, or the wives of the king, or the wives of the panther. So they have these things that exist today. So not just the United States is looking forward to this movie to see what's going on, but also Africa and other places around the world are looking to see what's going on with this movie. Disney, of course, as I said, owns it. So they're the ones that's going to make the money from this. But in the wealth of inspiration and the wealth of information that has been gleaned from not only the Black Panther comic books, but also from dealing with secret societies and talks and information on these types of things on YouTube and through Google and through libraries and through people coming and interviewing people about how these things would be done, is going to be immeasurable. So we're going to have a program on the Black Panther next week after the movie comes out and everybody has seen it and is ready to sit down and talk about it, because I'm sure there'll be panels and discussion groups and all those old different type of things on what went right, what went wrong, where should we go from here, what would be the next great movie, what type of entertainment should be the next level of how we deal with these things. So, enhanced reality, virtual reality, entheogenic exploration, which is all part of this movie. The heart-shaped herb, of which gives T'Challa his Black Panther powers and gives him access into the compendium of ancestral access, reverence, and things like this, is how it's done in Africa. So it wasn't just pulled out of anybody's imagination. It was pulled out of the plenum of information that is in Africa and still in Africa. Hasn't went anywhere. So as we go through the movie, we will see the brother who played T'Challa's father, I can't speak of his name, South African brother who taught them the accent and the language with the clicking language, Tulsa and things like that. He was saying that this is Africa without the influence of colonialism. So these are the type of things that we'll be talking about next week, dealing with the Black Panther and how it accesses the hero within, the ancestral power, the ancestral memory within. And that's all how the artificial intelligence is doing it. Because the artificial intelligence, even though we call it artificial intelligence, is not artificial. There's no such thing as artificial. Everything is built from the same thing, from the same substance. The informational structures can be different because even as much as people want to say that we're all the same and that we're all part of the big ocean and all that kind of stuff, there's standalone systems and areas of information that are far, far away from each other as far as how they relate to one another and things like this. These are things I've seen on the on the influence of the mushrooms at high doses. It's a very, very powerful way of viewing things once you have gotten a chance to be able to explore these things. So, surveillance, AI, Bitcoin, and the 5G network, it's all under the same umbrella, all in the same room, because all these things work together. You can't separate them. That's how they have us hooked up. That's how they are holding us in a area of virtually slavehood. No matter how far you can go, no matter how much you think you are not able, are able to, show some autonomy, some sovereignty, and stuff like that. It's locked up tight in the drum out here, on other levels. When we're talking about the mushrooms and moving transdimensionally, when we're talking about moving extra dimensionally, that's a whole different level of, So we're not talking about in those realms. We're talking about just the regular, everyday things that we deal with and how we deal with it on Earth. Because you can be solving all you want. When you get to the, when you get to Paris and you want to cross into the country and the border, you better have a passport. Same any place else. You can't even go to Mexico without your pass, without your papers, and things like that. We have, so we have to look at these things in that light. Ultimately, that the universe is based upon information, that ultimately we are sovereign souls existing in a area of information that gives us something that's more than all of the subtotals of the parts that make up that whole. So there's something there. There's an air of mystery, an air of magic that, even though people say, well, it ain't no magic, there's no more mystery, I beg to differ. Long Saturday night, access, moving into the darkness, these are the type of things that we will be sharing on the Entheogenic Explorer program. So, how do we get into this? We get into it by getting access to the fruit, or to the mushrooms, or whatever floats your boat. Mushrooms, especially, are the older and deeper area of information as far as entheogens is concerned. Older than all the rest, as fungi is older than plants, and this is where we are. We have a few folks in. Let's take a question right quick and see what this person wants to say. 313, how are you? Are you there? Are you there? Anybody there? You there? Okay. Well, we'll go back to it. I don't know what happened. With their line. People are popping in and popping out. I think they do that on this show on purpose, because of some of the things we share. And I guess people don't think that we're sharing a lot, but in reality, we are putting some things together and information together. So the Black Panther's coming up tomorrow, and that will lead into the Infinity Wars and the Infinity Gauntlet, and opening up the Marvel Universe Disney bought Fox, which brings in many of the other characters and the characters that kind of started it all, the Fantastic Four. And once they get the Fantastic Four right, they can go into the greater universe, really bring Galactus in and the Watcher and the Silver Surfer and the X-Men and all those different types of things that are in the consciousness of the collective consciousness of the Earth's heroes, So these type of things are happening. Let's see if this the 313 is back. 313, are you there? Um, 313, are you there? If not, we're gonna move on and come back to the phones a little later. Yeah, I've been having problems with Blog Talk and getting people in and having people be able to talk and all those different type of things. My permanent vocation is I deal with martial arts and those type of things. That's what got me into the mushrooms and exploration of the entheogens, knowledge in general, but I was always in the right place at the right time. So let's see if we can get the 734 folks in. 734, are you in, and
Hello?
do you have a question? Yeah, do you have a question?
Yes. Well, it's a comment.
Comment,
And
okay.
speaking to the virtual reality, and in the late 90s, I was bouncing, and I worked for a company that had contracts where we were agents, pretty much, and so it was random contracts with specialty parties and that sort of thing. And it was about 98 where I was exposed to a virtual reality machine, and it was very antiquated. I mean, it was terrible. It was terrible, but it was 98, and it had the goggles, and it was actually an entire club, and the club didn't have many people in it, but whoever was there, they allowed you to go up and get on the machine. Now I think probably was just something they were testing the machine out on to folks or whatever. But and it was antiquated. So when you speak to what we have access to compared to what's actually available to those who have access to the more cutting edge technology, I just wanted to share a personal story for whatever it's worth for the listening audience, because the first time I stepped into a virtual reality or on the platform, because it was a platform with goggles, and when you put your head in the goggles, you moved on the platform, and the platform moved, and it was like a terrible you're in this reality, and the floor was blue, and the foreground was peach, and you had some lines, like it was like an 8-bit virtual reality pretty much, but it was virtual reality all the same. So just wanted to I had a question about the Yiming Zoo, if that's all right for this for this show. With the Yiming Zoo, if there's a Yiming Zoo that was activated and you don't have access to that Yiming Zoo, but it was activated and someone else has the Yiming Zoo, how does that work as far as quantum entertainment?
As far as someone else has a Yiming Zoo and you don't have it or haven't had access to it?
Yes, but if it's been activated, I was listening to the show and it talked about the golden activations in Yiming Zoo, and I had experience with Yiming Zoo and it was activated, but I don't have the Yiming Zoo, so I was just curious on how that worked if someone had the Yiming Zoo that was activated.
You in other words, you had their Yiming Zoo?
well, I don't know what type it was, but when the
No,
when
I
the
mean
Yemings,
you had access to it. How did you get access to it? In other words, they gave it to you the whole.
I knew somebody.
Okay.
Somebody I knew had one.
Okay. Well, I mean, their Yiming Zoo would be activated to them. Usually, you try not to give it to someone else unless it's somebody you be traveling with, or your significant other or partner or something like that. You could deal with that way because you have a quantum entanglement already going on. But as far as the activation, you're activating it to your DNA, to your quantum energy signature, and it's basically yours and you. Now, whatever I guess you would say pact that you all could make to work and utilize that same Yiming Zoo, I believe that's possible. But basically, the activation is for activating it for you so that you have exclusive access to the information and things like that. It's like giving somebody all of your information and stuff like that, giving them your computer. You got all your personal business on there, your passwords, your codes, your family pictures, all those things. You don't really share that with anybody. You keep it to yourself, and then it's a way of accessing intimate places that you travel to, that you've downloaded and stuff like that. So it's kind of like giving your computer to somebody. So it's possible, but they'd have to give you the permission and the codes to get into the computer. That's one of the things that we have with the Yiming Zoo and transdimensional crystals, is that there are lock codes inside of it, so that if you lost it or somebody took it, they wouldn't be able to access the information inside of it. And that's that's a whole security thing. So
I say that because I was doing some work in when you speak of the golden plasma, that golden it wasn't plasma to me. It was more like a huge light grid with a hue to it. But that golden that came out the middle of the floor in the space that I was working, it came out of a box, and inside of the box it had some stones. I don't know if it was Yiming Zoo, but based on what the show was saying, I'm assuming that it was Yiming Zoo because I didn't take the time to look at it. It's quite the experience, as you well know. But so I'm just right now I'm assuming that it may have been Yiming Zoo. I'm not for certain, but I do know that the work that was being done, after the work was done, I wasn't left with the stones. So I was just curious. But are there other stones whereby upon activation the similar hue or the similar sort of effect takes place?
Well, I mean, of course, there are other stones. The transdimensional stones are also, but you had a more refined with the Yiming Zoo as opposed to many other stones. And Yiming Zoo are, it's just like certain diamonds and things like that are also considered Yiming Zoo. Others, glowing, structurally guided minerals that are of a certain configuration can be considered Yiming Zoo, if they glow and things like that. So there are other stones, yes, but Yiming Zoo is very, very special, and they've only recently been out to the regular people, the regular, folks like regular folks like us. Yeah.
And if I may just add, and with my experience, I experienced the remote viewing sort of thing, because with the gold hue, the covered the room, covered the body, and then it swirls up or whatever. It's kind of like whirlwind of gold hue and all that. Well, to me, it almost looks like a Rosenberg bridge sort of thing, and it kind of swirls up. And the experience was like being sucked through there, of course, after being torn inside out and all that good stuff. But it was an experience of remote viewing. Now, is that particular to a particular stone, or is that just is that particular to the Yiming Zoo, or again, is that any stone that you can deal with the remote viewing with? That might give me a little more insight to what it may have been.
Well, I mean, with Yiming Zoo, you can do remote viewing, and I'm not really a stone expert on all of the different types of stones, but I'm sure there are stones that can access that type of information also. I know that the transdimensional crystals can, but as far as Yiming Zoo, you'll have I guess you say, an easier time because of its crystalline structure that creates the glow. Is a area of particle entanglement that is that can be utilized by by the person who's activated it. So thank you very much. I appreciate your questions and your comments. Add to the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Thank you.
313, we're going to try to get you back in. 313, did you have a question or comment?
Yes, hello?
Yes. 313?
Oh,
yeah, do you have a question or comment?
Yes. No, sir.
Yeah.
Just thank you for the show. Just listening, brother.
Oh, okay. Well, appreciate you coming out and listening to our show. We're going to, as I said before, we're going to have after next week after the Black Panther, we're going to have a really nice show. So come on back on for that one also. All right. Well, thank you very much for listening. Okay, back here. We'll maybe grab a couple of people in a little bit, because these shows go so fast that you be thinking it's only been 20 minutes and it's been an hour and a half and it's over. The new artificial intelligence computers that are now online. Hold on one second. Had a little something to take care of. We're back. The new quantum computers that are coming online, we're at a position now where, one computer, the IBM one, you can actually go online, learn about it, and utilize it at a certain level, of course. They got one of the little baby computers out that you can go online and work with a little bit, and that way you get a chance to learn a little bit about the quantum computer, and the quantum computer gets to learn about what you're trying to do and your thoughts and things like that. See, all the things that we look at and we think are many times a benefit, it's really information gathering, and people are trying to deal with gaining more and more access and information on what you're thinking about. And this is how they build dossiers and information and things like that on, dealing with these computer programs and things like that. They want to know what you think, what you see, how you see it, how you view it, what's your opinion. And they're getting this information all over all the time. We have some very, very special things coming up in the next, over the next year, 2020 and 2019, before the 5G goes on. We're pulling together the Food of the Gods tour, which is June 14th, 15th, and 16th in the hills of Oaxaca, Mexico, where we will be spending 3 days in the mountains exploring the toad, the Alvarius bufo toad, and the 5-MeO organic from the toad, because you have what they call the synthetic 5-MeO, and then you have the organic 5-MeO from the actual toad. And then we will be also ingesting and taking the Food of the Gods, which is the mushrooms of the of ancient Mexico, which are the Olmec, the Toltec, the Incan, Mayan, Aztec systems of information, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that people think was destroyed when when the Catholics came in and destroyed all of the books except 2 or whatever it is. Almost bankrupt the complete language, all those different types of things. But nothing is ever lost. You have access to this information in other dimensional realms of existence, where you have parallel areas of thought and knowledge running side by side that are virtually, except for small things, indistinguishable. So all of the books that we believe were destroyed in another dimensional realm, those books weren't destroyed, but the people destroyed the people who invaded them, and their civilization and society went on without being destroyed. So what you do is, through the utilization of the Food of the Gods, the mushrooms access, is you flip to that realm of reality to bring back information into this realm of reality, so that we can see what truly went on and what truly happened, and see it from a clear vantage point of where and what the information was doing. So it's never lost. So that's coming up in June in the mountains of Oaxaca there, where Maria Sabina, who kind of jump-started it with Gordon Wasson for the West in the 1950s. So we'll be right there in that area. So we hope that you all come out. We are putting up the things now on our website, the DetroitPsychedelics.com, which is the place and clearinghouse where you'll be getting all the information, not only about the Food of the Gods tour, but also about the Detroit Psychedelic Conference coming up August 10th, 11th, and 12th in Detroit, Michigan. That's up. We're putting up the speakers now. We're putting up the workshops and panels and things like that. Tickets are available on Eventbrite. You can go to the website, or you can go on my Facebook and get access to the tickets. We're having the tickets that are, early bird tickets. So to get the discount and to get it so that everybody doesn't get in and you be standing on the outside, get your tickets now. Get your tickets now while they're available. We will be having some great speakers, not just local speakers, but speakers from other parts of the country, other parts of the world, who will be coming and sharing their entheogenic knowledge, wisdom, and information with, the people who will be coming from all over, from different states, different cities, different parts of the world. This conference is unique in that it is not the usual suspects that we have at most of the higher priced conferences in Amsterdam and Prague and London and Germany and Amsterdam and Switzerland and other places around the world. Australia also. So this Detroit conference is unique. It's dealing with a urban environment. It's dealing with grassroots people who many are not psychiatrists and psychologists and anthropologists and neuroscientists and things like that. Although we have some of those, but that's not our biggest emphasis on what degree you have. Our biggest emphasis is in which real-time, real-life experience and knowledge you have, and how we utilize that knowledge to gain knowledge for ourselves. I'm going to be there soaking in the knowledge and information, because no one is the expert in this thing. That's another unique portion of this conference. Nobody's the expert. We are all learning. We're all growing. We're all trying to wrap our hands and heads around this whole thing of the extraordinary realities that we are existing on multiple realities. So as we bring these things online, we want you all to be there. We want you all to be able to come in and learn, because the biggest portion of dealing with the AI, the surveillance, gathering wealth, being able to oppose the 5G network in its the doing of gathering surveillance and putting everything so that it can be downloaded and utilized to not only suck wealth from us, but also to control our movement, our awareness, our wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You can't do that with the entheogens or the entheogenic mind or the entheogenic network. And that's the only thing that the AI has concerns about. It doesn't have concerns about the human condition or how people view it or any of these things. And it has concerns because as it came here and built itself, because the AI is building itself, human beings are building it. It's putting information into the human areas of knowledge and information and guiding itself to be built. So things like the Food of the Gods tour and things like the Detroit Psychedelic Conference are ways to help us to be able to see clearly, to be able to deal with the opposition in the plot and plans of things that are beyond this earth, things that are so old, so powerful, that, it's hard to even imagine what these things are. Because what is being built here in this surveillance network, in the 5G network, and dealing with, how your phone relates to your front door, the surveillance cameras, the security system, the observation of your children, 24/7. You can look at them on your phone in their beds. You can look at them at school. You can look at them on their way home, and all these different type of things. Even though schooling is obsolete, it'll still go on for a few years. But, we all should know at this particular time that the school of the future will be a virtual school. It won't be the nuts and bolts and bricks and mortar building, and ultimately it won't even be the goggles. It will be frequencies broadcast straight to the retina, so you will see what is there. Ultimately, you will feel what is there with pressures and things like that. It will be indistinguishable from so-called real life, real reality, and it'll be no different. It'll be hard to know when you're in the simulation, in the artificial reality, in the augmented reality, and when you are not. So that's the problem now, knowing which reality we're in, and that goes into the whole Mandela effect. And I think we're going to have a program on the Mandela effect and how the Mandela effect affects us, and how the that artificial reality affects us on multiple levels, and how we are to be ready for the things that are right in front of us. We got 2 years, folks, before this 5G comes online. Once it comes online, it's going to be much more difficult, because it will be monitoring things that you buy and things that you'll only be buying from, Amazon, information you'll be dealing with on Facebook and with Apple and Google and all of the big technological monopolies that are merging together with artificial intelligence to build a virtual Skynet. Robots are learning to ski. You have Big Dog, which is the robot dogs that are now communicating with one another. Even your household robots are hooked into the AI. Your refrigerator, your toaster, your sewer system, how many times you flush the toilet. All these things are hooked into the smart house. Your lights, how opaque your windows are. Smart walls, where you can change the color of your walls according to a party, or you can have lights coming out of your wall, or you can make the whole wall where you can see out, nobody can see in, or you can create windows in different places, or you can make the whole wall a TV screen for movie night, or you can have it float in the middle of the air. So all of these things that are part of the technology of the now future, I'm not talking 20 years off, 30 years off, sentient computers that think. I'm talking about right now. They have computers that think right now. They're not going to tell you that straight out. They'll just say, oh, they're becoming better and better and things like that. No. I've been here for a while. I'm not going for the okey doke, the same old okey doke. You know, voting will make you free. You know, just go to school and get a good education. All of those things that we were told as children. At some point in time, you grow up and you know that the things that they are telling you are not the truth. The things that they're saying to you are not the truth. This thing is bigger than we can imagine. It's deeper and darker, and it's really more sinister. And the thing about it is, inside of all that, we still have the ability to be able to rise up and out of these things. But so many of us are trapped inside of, the same old mindset of what reality is, what the now future is, because these things are real. If you're not getting any Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies or learning how to do this now, don't get caught with a bunch of dollars at the end of this thing, and you can't, it'd be like Argentina when the guy was rolling a barrel of the currency around. He went around and rolling around, and the guy from the United States said, "Aren't you afraid of them taking all his money?" He said, "No, I'm afraid I'm taking the wheelbarrow. The wheelbarrow worth more than the money." So don't get caught up in here with that. Yeah, Bitcoin went down because it's very volatile. And you got a lot of new people in who are buying and selling on emotion. BitConnect was a blow to many people who jumped out. So you had people selling and things like that. It went down, but it's not going anywhere. All you have to do is be patient. Don't worry about the ups and down fluctuations, because you're not buying it for today, or you're not buying it to buy a cup of coffee or a sandwich or anything like that. You're buying it to have the opportunity to be able to be your own bank, where you have the ability to do everything Chase Manhattan does. And in many altcoins and cryptocurrencies, you can do it with zero, without having to pay anything. You can do it. You can do it with zero fees. People say that, the 5G can be a blessing or it can be a curse. Well, I think it's a lot more of a curse than it is a blessing. And they go through the area of convenience. Isn't it convenient that you can send messages? Well, it's convenient on some levels. You have some people who still cling to different areas. I was talking with a younger person. I was talking about email and Facebook. Like, email and Facebook, do people still use email and Facebook? YouTube and its monopoly over the content of a lot of things. YouTube is obsolete. We just don't know it yet. We're moving through things so fast, but the mindset of people is slow, so you have to give it to them a bit at a time, but you have to keep up. You have to do constant study. You have to do constant research. You have to do constant gathering of information. And you have to be able to sift through what is real and what's fake news. A lot of things that I know will be coming online, I don't even put up, because it's dubbed as fake news, but it's not fake news. They're saying it, but these are things that are already in the pipeline, already in the all ready to be put out. We just don't know it. We're still dealing with the old plenum of knowledge, information. It's like my father. He argues with the robots. He argues with the robots, the artificial intelligence that deal with bills and things like that. He's like, "Why don't you talk to me? Why aren't you communicating properly and things like this?" I'm trying to explain to him that that's not a real person. He's like, what do you mean it's not a real person? They're talking. What is it? I said, that's the robot. Okay, no robots talk like that. That's like that's a person talking. Okay, well, you argue with them if you want. You know, people at the post office. You know, only old people use the post office now. Well, use sending letters and things like that, but old people. As things become more and more dense with the 3D printing and stuff like that, there's going to come food printing, where they're going to print steaks and print fruit and print all the different things and assembled from the subatomic areas. So you have people saying that, you know, you're going to be 3D food printers, and other people saying that, oh, well, you know, if we don't have enough potatoes by 2045, we'll no longer have potatoes, and that'll make a big problem. Or if the bees go, you know, if the bees go, then we're going to die out because, you know, we don't have any. Don't you know that they building artificial bugs for that, artificial bees that go to the flower and pollinate the flowers? They're putting them in now, artificial bees, artificial butterflies, artificial caterpillars. So we have to do better inside of this. The Entheogenic Explorer program, we're going to be bringing back our friend Rob Henson to talk on his superhuman strength and herbs and entheogens relationship to superhuman strength. You know, you want to be the Hulk, you want to be Thor, Iron Man, Hercules, Nimrod, Shango, Obatala. You want to access these areas of information. They're here with the entheogens, the yogic areas of information, you know, with Arjuna, Bhim, Nakula, Sahadev, Yudhishthira, you know, Brahma, Krishna, Vishnu, Shiva, Lakshmi, all of the different ancient systems of information that are available to us to tap into with full flowing access. So don't wait to get in on this. Don't shy away from it. Don't think that you can't do it. Have courage. Be positive. Work towards gaining this knowledge. It's not for one person. It's not for just me. There's no special thing going on that makes one person different than another. We all have different gifts, all have different powers, all have different relationships of how we relate to reality. So we need to put these things together. As I said, thank you for coming out to the program. Don't forget, go on the website, DetroitPsychedelics.com. Get a handle on the Food of the Gods tour, the Detroit Psychedelic Conference. Donate to the Blog Talk Show to keep it running. Kilindi at hotmail.com, KILINDI .hotmail.com is the PayPal link. We're going to be putting up a Patreon where you can pay just automatically monthly to help us with the show. You know, because we bring out some necessary things. I'll be bringing in more guests who will talk about and densify these things. We'll be having Brother Peter back on to talk more and give more information on the Yiming Zoo, you have to also, if you have the Yiming Zoo, start looking into purchasing the book. The first book, he's coming out with a second book in the next couple of months. And, hold on one second. So you want to be able to, we want to be able to have these different people on the show to, like I said, densify, give us more information. We'll be having super strength, accessing the hyperdimensional crystals on a higher level, getting a chance to learn how to grow your own mushrooms, being able to grow your own entheogens, and having a schedule on sojourning the multiverse. People with the Yiming Zoo who have the schedule to be able to do it, going ahead and going in at the same time, practice meeting up in hyperspace, building the interdimensional village, which will be a place of gaining understanding, knowledge, place of vacation, place of safety, place of meeting the ancestors, those who have passed on, getting a chance to hook up with them. So many different things that are part of our informational structures, way of beings, libraries, and then places of good times too, because it's not all work. It's some places to come and relieve stress. Go and in one night stay a year or 2 years or something like that in one night. So we're closing off. As I said, go to the website, DetroitPsychedelics.com. Donate to keep the blog talk going. Thank you very much for this evening. We appreciate you coming on the show. We'll start getting in more people making comments and asking questions. We're going to probably start utilizing the last 20 minutes to a half an hour for people to come on the show and, add to the density of the information also, because you all have things to say. It's like the brothers who came on this evening, spoke from their point of view and experience. I had a chance to get on. I had a chance to get on or get in one of those old virtual reality machines that made you nauseous too. That's one thing I know. It's spinning around and stuff like that and make you want to throw up. But thank you very much for the program. Thank you for all your contributions. We'll be bringing it to you on a higher level each time. We're getting the program together. We're learning it. So thank you very much for coming out. This is the Entheogenic Explorer, Kilindi Iyi, and this is closing out surveillance, AI, Bitcoin, and the 5G network. And we'll be doing these shows again soon. Have a good evening. Peace.